Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our CEO Talks. Today we have the 8th CEO Talk of our second edition. I'm very happy to have an old friend, a very good friend of mine and Colin's, Andreia Stanciu. Andreia is in charge of the ACCA operations in Romania and Bulgaria, and as far as I remember, Moldova, I think, and Albania. But you will tell us more, Andreia. ACCA is an organization which is always in my heart. It was a challenge to become a member, however, is the key to what we have become, at least what I have become today. Andreia, welcome. A few words from your side to tell us a few things about yourself, and then my good friend Colin will ask you a few questions.
Thank you very much for the invite, Mamas. Very nice to see everyone again, albeit online. I'm Andreia. I am running the Southeastern European office of the largest international accountancy association. So I've been doing this for 15 years now, but for 21 years, I've been involved in the accountancy profession. So it is a passion of mine. I have accountancy in my heart as well as ACCA. So thank you, Mamas, for mentioning that about ACCA. It's very visible that you have ACCA in your heart. And I can say that for the local office, the reverse is totally true as well. I have 8 years of accounting academic training also, and plus 21 years of accounting experience. And in my job with ACCA, I'm very passionate about finding out what's new, what's going to happen. I'm very passionate about talking to young people. So I'm very happy that the subject of our talk now is exactly revolving around this topic. So thank you.
Thanks, Andreia. Good to see you. And I never thought I'd get excited being locked in a call with two accountants, but I am. Really good to see you, and thank you, Mamas. And Andreia, you mentioned, I know you have this, I think the word passion really for developing young people. You know, the Generation Z, which I think there's a bit of confusion and ambiguity and fear and a misunderstanding. So hopefully we'll sort of demystify a little bit about that. But I wanted to kick off with your thoughts generally, you know, based on your experience, your vast experience with all the people you're dealing with. How is the world of work as we see it today changed? Is it in a positive way, in a negative way? Or do you think we'll all, like a river, we will all eventually find our original route and life will go on like it was before? What's your thoughts?
I think, Colin, we will eventually settle in a routine. It will be different than what our previous path of work, of a normal work day might have looked like. I can't say it's necessarily positive or negative. Definitely the pandemic has accelerated the changes. I think some good, I'm always an optimist person, and I'm always thinking about the good. So some good is that we are maybe less hierarchical. We are more oriented on the delivery of the task and not necessarily, you know, the hours spent at work or the physical presence. So I think these things are here to stay, and that's good.
It's interesting, isn't it? How you know, we're going to talk about Generation Z now, but I think it's kind of affected everybody. Certainly me. I'm at the opposite end of Generation Z. I don't even have a letter. I'm a baby boomer, so I don't have a letter to my generation. But on the Generation Z, you know, what are the let's do this positively and optimistically, as you said. What are the opportunities that you feel that Generation Z bring to the workplace?
Colin, let's first clear exactly who are they, because definitely I'm not part of them, and you're saying you're not part of them either. I have to believe you. They are born between 95 and 2010, so they're just making their entry in this past year in the workforce. And a little bit related to your previous question and how the world of work has changed. I think the context we worked in last year also meant that people who had natural leader abilities could come forward easier, and actually they were very needed. And that's reverting now to your current question, that's a trait for the generations, that they are unafraid to step out, to speak. So although it was difficult for them to enter the workforce in such a year as 2020, it was also an opportunity, because they don't care so much about hierarchical structures. They want to be heard. They are very outspoken. They are very authentic, which is absolutely fantastic. And if employers are inspired enough to give them the platform, to give them the forum to do so, they will bring a lot of innovative trends. Actually, I heard from a CEO of a large Bucharest company that he implemented reverse mentoring in his company. Basically, senior people in his team, including himself, they had very young mentors who they were learning from. So that's something that the young generation can bring. Plus, of course, they are the first generation to be truly digitally native. So they don't know life without a mobile phone. So in our profession, accountancy and audit, where there will be a lot of changes brought by the digital technology, we should be very happy that these young people are very comfortable with using technology. On the other hand, we should be aware that the mere fact that they are very active on social media does not mean they will be very adept or very fast learners of professional platforms, or they are very skilled with English. So you see, I gave you a little bit of the ups and downs as well for the young generation. Yeah,
you touched on that a little bit, and I'm going to talk about what are those skill areas that you feel that they need to be encouraged to improve, because you're kind of indicating there, Andreia, that there, and I think it's true, there is this sort of freedom being given to younger people in the workplace, which I guess is a good thing, but I guess it's potentially could be challenging in terms of loyalty and commitment long term, etc. But what in terms of skills, if you've got Generation Z around you, for people watching this, what are the skills that you feel that we should be encouraging them to develop or even obtain?
I think, and this will benefit not only them, but their colleagues in older generations and across functions. I think it's this ability to work and to draw knowledge from more than their position. So not only accounting, they should think marketing. They should be very open to work across functions. Because they are telling us in a global survey that ACCA has published together with IFAC, they were telling us that they're thinking about moving jobs in 2 years' time. They're thinking about having a very wide portfolio of skills developed. And this is why actually they are attracted by the accountancy profession, because they see that it opens this international wide range of abilities to them. So because they were telling us that, they should also be very structured. You can't deal with a lot of things at once without having a plan, without being structured. So I think these are the skills that they should develop, working in multifunction teams, but also having a plan, being very structured for themselves.
Okay, it's interesting. And Andreia, what about when it comes to one of the biggest challenges, particularly in not just in the accounting industry, but in business services, etc., where I guess it's become an employees market. Finding the good talent is not easy when you have low unemployment and a lot of organizations investing in Romania. So the good news presents the challenges. How do you think, what would your advice be for organizations to improve their attraction of this talent, a Generation Z talent? But more importantly, I guess, they don't want to invest it and then those people disappear. What advice do you give to people? You've touched on it there, but anything more you'd like to advise people to keep that talent in the company?
I think first of all is, as I'm coming back to this quality of the Generation Z of being very outspoken. So I just say employers should just ask them how they want to be treated. Give them the platform, go where they are in social media. Again, in this survey, which we heard from 9,000 respondents all over the world, Generation Z has told us about their biggest concern. And the top three were lack of job security or job opportunity, personal well-being and mental health, which for young people is a little bit worrying for myself, to think that they have this as primary concern, and the global economy and recession. And I think employers should talk to these concerns of young people and tell them why their company will address this and why their company is good in, diminishing these negative thoughts that they might be having.
Okay. But I guess it's getting that balance, isn't it? Is really, when we talk about leadership, we still want to be influential leaders that challenge our people and not accommodate them too much. So I guess it's a bit of a balancing act. Andreia, I have a personal concern as a trainer myself. In terms of learning and development for organizations. I'm speaking to many organizations right now, and I sense there's that fear that from now for the next 2 or 3 years, let's call it the acceleration of people's learning and development is going to be challenged through this hybrid way of working. Whereas if you look at 2016 to 2019 and make that comparison, I'm starting to get a feel that some business leaders are thinking that L&D is going to suffer through this hybrid model. And I guess we all need mentors, we all need coaches, we all need that live interaction to develop our skills. I think for me, I wasn't hosting any events for about 18 months and I forgot how to do it. So my communication suffered and presentation skills, practice at work, etc. What's your thoughts on this, on learning and development going forward? Is it something to be a little bit concerned about?
I think it's a concern for people who don't have an elastic mind frame and an adaptable mind frame, which is definitely not your case. I'm having difficulties imagining that your skills suffered, but and I see that they haven't, and you adapted to online. And this is exactly actually my point. I think it will be different, and the young people are telling us what they want in terms of L&D. It's definitely not the classroom training, 4 hours listening to someone. It's visual, it's bite-sized, it's revisitable, so people want to be able to go back on it on their mobile phones. It will be more individualized, it will be more personalized. So I think for tutors who have the elasticity of approach, it will be actually more opportunity. I actually have a friend who was teaching a Brazil group about engagement. So they were only doing face-to-face courses in Romania. Pandemic came, she was doing Brazil. So there are opportunities, but yes, it will be maybe a little bit more stressful to change. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you are an optimist. I love it. Mamas, I'm gonna give Andreia a little break. So I want to sort of ask you this question about the development of your people when you bring in a young person. I also want to throw in an extra question for you. So Andreia is going to have an even extra long break. It's really about what do your client, in terms of, because Andreia's talked about digitalization and how that is, in a traditional industry as accounting, now we're mainstream, and I think invoicing and everything else is suddenly boom, 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 going very, very quickly. How does that affect your customers, Mamas? What are they looking for from accountancy firm, or are they looking for the digital way of doing things, or are they still needing that human touch from the accounting individual who's responsible for them? I hope that question makes sense.
Yeah, very good questions, both of them, Colin. And I will try to put them in a simple way. So I hope I can transfer the messages clearly. From our people point of view, we just finished actually a board meeting with the partners, and one question that was hanging around is also what Andreia was mentioning before, the mental health status of our people. This is very, very important, and we see some tiredness in some of them, especially the youngsters, working from home continuously or majority of the time, and entering into some online calls, either with us or with the clients, and not having this live interaction. And we will come up with a model that the bigger teams, they will need to meet a couple of times a week on a face-to-face. So like this, we will keep in touch with the team and each other, as well as when the client is of a bigger size, they will need to go and work from the side of the client, subject to the pandemic situation allows for them to keep safe as well, especially for the youngsters, which they haven't been vaccinated yet. As we know, all over Europe, this is, and not only Europe, this is a major issue, which unfortunately will backfire in the coming autumn. Now, from the client's point of view, we see this because some of the clients, they are returning back to work, and we have decided that we need to, at least from managers and partners side, we need to be closer to them and go and see them from time to time, rather than having an online discussion. Because a face-to-face meeting again is helping and trusting the client to disclose to you their issues, their concerns, and like this you can add more value. We started seeing more and more clients requiring this to have a chat with them.
Okay. It's interesting, isn't it, that human element is still crucial. But as Andreia touched on, I think the acceleration of digitalization through this COVID time has really put us in I guess, from a competitive point of view for Romania, it's actually been a great thing, the way that Romania hasn't stood still and has continued to drive. Andreia, back to you. You actually, I think you said something a little bit earlier about with Generation Z, back to that subject, about how they would like to be managed. I guess it's almost an interview question now, isn't it? You'd ask them, tell me, how would you like to be managed? What's in terms of managers, what skills, you mentioned elasticity, which isn't easy for me to say, so well done on that. And what are the skills that managers need to develop to really better manage this new wave, if you like, of mindset and the way that people do want to be managed?
I think it's really being a manager more as a partner, and having the confidence as a manager and as a senior person to develop the leadership capacities of somebody who is maybe half your age. So maybe there's a little bit about humility, maybe there's a little bit about self-confidence, because you can't grow other people if you yourself feel, in a threatened position. So I think this is, and openness, of course, openness to hearing maybe challenging opinions to our own.
Okay. Well, hopefully we've got a lot of Generation Z people watching this, and hopefully so far they've been enlightened, pleased, whatever, with what we said. But if they're listening to this, what advice would you share with them in terms of their career? Because we did touch on this sort of project-based working, which can become the norm. In my day, you kind of signed up for life almost when you joined a company. You went through the apprenticeship and etc. But these days, and that's working in with the new working environment, it tends to be a bit more short-term, etc. So in terms of a young person looking at this and wanting to have a successful career, what advice would you give to them?
I think as they are so globally connected and so present online all the time, I think they have to be careful how they build their brand, both online and offline, because whatever you say, and we've seen some careers destroyed when you're 25 because of something you said on Twitter when you were 17, not in Romania yet, but who knows. So first of all, build a personal brand and be aware that whatever you put out there might come back and haunt you. Then I think there was something about structure, which I said, and this is absolutely valid, because these young people will have some of the longest and most varied careers in known human history, and they want it. They like it that way. It's fine. So it's perfect that it's something that they also want. However, they have to be aware and manage it proactively. That they have to be aware that the early years will be important to lay those foundations for a varied career.
Okay, it's great advice. I love what you said about the personal and professional branding. I think it is so crucial, particularly when you've got such a variation of social media, from the business LinkedIn, which I think we're all pretty sensible on, and then we can slip up, as you mentioned, with something on Twitter or Facebook innocently, and then realize it comes back to bite you where it doesn't. It's quite painful. Andreia, it's been a real pleasure, as it always is when we're talking with each other. But thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to hand back to Mamas.
Likewise, Colin. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Andreia. It was really a very nice discussion. And I will take a bit. I will extend it to what Andreia said before, and what you, Colin, said about mentoring and about having a continuous learning. And this is what is ACCA all about. I mean, we have our continuous development programs, which, regardless of the age, regardless of the position that a member is having, we have to follow the continuous development program that we are having in mind as organization, or as a person, and taking it also historically, as our ancient Greeks were saying. I get older by getting more, and I get more educated as well. So why not to get educated by youngsters? And I like very much what Andreia said, that some organizations and some leaders already are implementing the reverse mentoring, which is indeed, it sounds very, very exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Andreia, Colin, thank you very much for our CEO talk, and see you quite soon.
Thank you, Mamas, for the invite. See you.